Welcome to another episode of Career Corner. It's your host, Shekila Athman. Along with me are my amazing friends. On my left,
Boniface Omina
and
Karanja.
This is the team made for Boardroom Banter, and they will be here sharing their insights about their career journey.
Thanks for having us, Shekila.
Thank you guys.
To be on the other side of
things. We're not on the other side of the interview, which is a nice.
All pressure is on.
All the pressure is on you now.
Thank you for accepting my request, guys. Introduce yourself in 3 sentences, perhaps. Yeah.
Sean, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Sean Karanja Kinyanjui, and I'm in my 3rd year here at the African Leadership University, ALC actually, so Mauritius campus, and I'm studying business management. I am an entrepreneur at heart and in practice, and I'm one of the hosts at Boardroom Banter. So some of my interests are education technology and the finance and investment space. And I'm looking forward to telling you guys a bit more about how that's been going for myself and my good friend here, Boni.
Easy. My name is Boniface Omina, as I said, local noisemaker, international MC, voice of enjoyment, fresh prints of good vibes and good times. I'm an event designer. I'm a 2nd year business management student at LU, but also an event designer, running a team of event designers here in Mauritius and back home in Kenya. My interest is giving you guys a good time and podcast hosting as well.
So what is Boardroom Banter to you? Like, what does it mean to you?
Wow, that's a deep one. That's a new. So I think I can speak for both of us, right? We've been, the idea of putting our ideas out into the world has been something that we've thought about and have been meaning to do through the capacity of a podcast for a long time. And we never got about to doing that, right? And so, meeting here on campus, Bonnie and I, we knew each other from before. And coming here, we realized that we share a lot of, similar values. We share similar but also very different in many ways, stories and journeys. And one thing that was common between us was undoubtedly a love for communicating our journeys and our interests. And so we asked ourselves, okay, so what's the best way to do that, right? We regularly have conversations in mentorship capacities, on an individual basis with, different mentors and people that we've networked with. And so we tend to share those lessons with each other, right? And so we realized in one of those sharing moments, one night, we're in the parking lot actually. And and so myself, Yuri, and Boniface, we said, wouldn't it be cool if we amplified these stories, quite literally, right? The journeys of these individuals that we meet and network with, we tend to keep those to ourselves. But what if we shared their stories with other people? And it's just been a platform to transparently show you what we're learning. Because these are questions on our podcast that we asked them that we'd have asked them anyway in a more private setting. But, for us, it was about, can we bring Shekila into the thought process of, such and such person from a different industry and format it in a way that she enjoys, but also we learn. So there's a very selfish element to it. So we do a lot of learning and, we sit down and we're like, wow, okay, we've learned about this and this. And how can we apply it to our podcast? Mm-hmm. And it's great that an outcome of that is people learning as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Because you guys do it every Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
What was your life coming to ALE like?
So I cleared high school in 2018 in Lindana School. 2019 was my first gap year.
People might not know what cleared means. Cleared is a very Kenyan.
Oh, I completed my high school. I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Thank you, our dear host. I graduated from high school in 2018, took my first gap year in 2019, where I did an entrepreneurship program at Strathmore Business School. That's in Nairobi. And then for the last half of the year, I was doing an accelerator program at the Watson Institute in Colorado. So took that gap year to, ready, fire, aim my way into the startup space. And quite a lot of learnings from that. 2020, took my second gap year because of COVID. And then I moved out in September 2020. I got dressed, then moved out. So it was a very tumultuous time in my family at that time. And I think I wanted a trailer version of how my life in the ALU would be. Living by myself, fending for myself. Not really, not literally. But, it's there that I discovered I just love giving people a good time. Through my parties, through the events I design, and started working with, artists, entertainers, and other types of creatives. And coming into ALU, it was, just a copy paste of that, but then much more beautiful and grand because of the multicultural community that we have here. Right. So my experience doing events for Kenyans has grown to me being able to tailor different experiences for students from all across the continent. And that's been the most brilliant thing. The podcast itself has just been an outlet for a lot of that. Yeah. A lot of our experiences. I feel like, it did begin with the guests and ourselves, right? Having these conversations. And then it moved so it started with the Tuesday guest episodes, and then we moved to the Founders Friday, which is Sean, myself, and Yuri. Just letting things out and sharing on different situations we've been in life, experiences, trending topics. And it's really interesting to see that come full circle, that we can build experience before coming together to create this platform and then sharing that as well afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Boni, I also took a gap year after finishing my A-levels, my high school. And I think that gap year for me was a moment of experimentation, right? So asking myself, okay, I've been learning about this entrepreneurship thing. I've been learning about this business thing. I've been studying, economics, whatever, literature as well. I like to read, I like to write, I like to, communicate. What can I do with that, right? And so I basically took a trial 12 months, much to my mother's despair. Like, why don't you just go straight into uni?
The things we put our parents through, man.
I mean, like, Mom, if you're watching this, yeah, like, I mean, things, in hindsight, it makes sense. But in the moment, I took that time off just to understand who I was, but also to put myself under, basically like to the test, right? I'm putting my skills to the test. I'm putting my ambitions and dreams to the test. And so I started my first company. It's called Project Exponential. And so that was basically taking, how ALU has, the whole 21st century skills type of approach and model, all that kind of stuff. And, taking similar content to that and packaging it for high school students, right? Because, I was learning so much during my gap year. And I was like, okay, I'm learning on the go, but also, I'm reading a bunch of books, going for different events, seminars, got different mentors. And so how can I compile that into some sort of curriculum and deliver it through workshops, etc.? So I started doing that, partnering with different schools back home. And I enjoyed teaching, right? I think it's just something I learned about myself during that time, that when I learn or gain a skill, I enjoy to, share it with other people in one way or another. And I also found myself exploring mentorship relationships. So just like I had mentioned, you know, people who I just thought were at a certain level of their industry, which I admired and wanted, you know, to basically gain apprenticeship from, right? So I see, okay, this is a successful business person. You know, maybe I went for something somewhere, you know, or an event like a church thing or something, and I'm like, wow, this person looks impressive, you know. So how about I reach out? Let's see what happens. I think that was the beginning of my path to, like, you know, networking and building a network. And I found that my gap year was quite instrumental in that. And, you know, it helped that I was able to, you know, go and explore my workshop and teaching capacity through different things. Got to travel a bit, was able to put together some workshops, you know, went to Italy at some point. That, you know, things are
I did not know this.
It's funny, that's one of my least documented really cool moments, because I had lost my phone. And so imagine I'm telling my mom, hey, I got this opportunity to go run a workshop for a bunch of youth, like in Italy.
But you can't prove it.
But I can't prove it. And she's like, how will I communicate with you? How will I reach out? I was like, mom, chill, I'll figure it out.
Email me.
Email me.
Hey, there are times when I've been done and my dad and I have had to email.
You know,
I swear.
man, but I said, you know, I'm broke, I can't buy a new phone, like, let me just go. So
But it's
I mean,
also your passion, so you can't.
yeah, and I mean, it was such a beautiful moment, and you know, also just experiencing like startup life and everything. I actually was meant to go to uni in the States, but I cancelled that option because I said, you know what, I need to find a place that will be able to nurture this entrepreneurial spirit, and quite pragmatically ask myself, which institution would make me most likely to be successful in Africa, right? And that's ALU's
It has
whole
to be an
mission.
institution in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go so far from home, so I was gonna go study at Strathmore. I'd already done the interviews, whatever. Yeah, luckily ALU had some positions, some scholarships available. So yeah, who doesn't like a scholarship?
And this was after ALA, right?
Yeah. So previously I was at the African Leadership Academy. Fun fact: ALA kids don't like coming to ALU because it's perceived as, oh, you're just doing ALA again, but it's uni. But I think ALU it's far more practical. So ALA was very theory. It's like you're in a bit of a bubble, but I mean, coming here, you're just exposed to the world, and you know you can flourish and do cool things like these. Yeah, that's how I ended up. Yeah, that was
So I think you talked about how you went about networking. Could you share how you went about networking?
Started ACAD. Right?
We have to mention
Yeah,
ACAD.
we have to mention ACAD. Yeah.
So my first networking event, right, was back in Form 2. So that's my second year in high school. That was 2016. I'm old.
Man.
Very old. But yeah, that was back in 2016. And Acad Education Group is a mentorship organization that brings together a community of youth in upper primary school, secondary school, and university, and brings them together with different industry leaders. And I think Boardroom Banter was born from the same model, right? And this is me in high school networking with, for those who are familiar with these people, the former CEO, current chairman of Bidco, Dr. Vimal Shah, different media personalities. But aside from the industry leaders, you're networking with other youth who are in Ivy League institutions, who are running startups, who are, building solutions in crazy industries. And at Form 2, that was a big challenge for me, right? Because you are competing, that thing of, you're competing with people from all across the world. Someone is waking up somewhere in the world at 5 a.m.
Like at 5 a.m.
That's what my dad
crazy stuff. talk about that in our podcast.
Wake up at 4 a.m. There's a kid in China who's.
I know, right?
And now bringing that one home to there's a student in your rival high school. You know how high school rivalries work for those who are from Kenya, yeah? There's a student who's in a different institution, and aside from getting by academically, when they're home for holidays, they're involved in a bunch of different stuff.
Arts.
Bruh, crazy things.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that I saw, but as well as a challenge for me and an opportunity for myself at the same time, right? So I dive deep into building networks in the different industries, also realizing that when I finished school, it's also the same way I found out about ALU. I knew I wanted to go to ALU because I don't really need to have a grade A in my academics to get in. And would you rather work towards getting an A or work on co-curriculars and have a good time while still building different skills? And that's what I went for.
And that's what you want to do in the future.
Exactly. So I think when I look at the trajectory, the networking I knew would elevate my chances, not just for ALU, but to plug into a bunch of different things outside. Because I realized I wouldn't have to start from scratch. I would have to reinvent the wheel. I'd just hop on, whatever's going on and entrepreneur myself into other things. And that's been an amazing element of it.
I think maybe to add on that, one of the interesting approaches that I think, because Boniface and I, we actually met through ACAD, so that platform that he was talking about, and one of the interesting things that I find we tend to do. So if we're talking, best practices, how do we go about networking effectively to push your career forward? One of the key things that I think I learned.
Cue masterclass music.
Because they put in the music in the background. So one of the key things that the very important element to networking, I think, is building a learning relationship with a certain individual, right? So asking yourself, first of all, is there something I can learn from them? But also, is there something maybe they could learn from me? Which is sometimes a hard one to answer because, we're just starting
Especially
out.
they learn from me.
Yeah, so what exactly are they learning from you?
Yeah.
But, it could be something as easy as, your perspective. It could be something like, maybe I come from this country, you don't. I have some views that you don't. An easy one is generational gap. So sometimes these people
That's always an in.
Yeah, they might be a bit older, maybe a lot older. And so the fact that you understand the generation within which you operate could be of value to whatever work that they're doing. And so I think when I used that approach of, hey, I'd like to learn from you, can we set up a call? This is who I am, this is my ambition, this is who you are and what you've achieved, and I would like to take a similar path, or I am interested in a certain element of your path. Could I learn from you, and could we have regular communication, maybe this, that? And I remember I did that in my first year when I'd come to ALU, and at first it was with different people. I mean, like the school would set up these very interesting like entrepreneur in residence kind of things, and bring different people onto campus, and so that's Shekila's job right now. Shekila, where are they at? We want more. and so
more guests for our podcast.
Yeah, give us more guests for our podcast. And I found that engaging those individuals and saying, hey, look, I'd like to learn from you. That's actually what landed me my first internship. It came out of a friendship or like a mentorship kind of capacity where we'd have a call every 2 or so weeks, and you're learning more about each other, but also you're asking probing questions like, oh, okay, you're in this industry, what are some of the trends of this and this? Oh, and that makes you go, you read the articles or whatever before the call, you get onto that call and you're like, oh, I was reading about this and this, and someone sees that this person is switched on. If I was to give this person a project to work on, I'm pretty sure they do a good job, right? So it's like working before you've been given the work.
Do your 80%. We were talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
Doing your 80% So when you're approaching these people, they don't feel like they need to move mountains to help you.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to move the mountains.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because they've seen you put in the work,
Yeah.
right? And you've not come to them with a silver platter. Well, we're talking about how. So we're actually giving an experience that I've sort of gone through back home in Kenya of you're approaching some of the industry leaders, right? Because sometimes people just don't want to network with you, or they don't want to give you opportunities, right? And you're left, questioning, oh, was it my approach? Am I not qualified? Is there something wrong about me? But people are just, we were saying, the people who are so used to people approaching them for nonsense, right? That they've built
Negative.
Like a wall.
right? Where they just filter out any cold emails, any cold messages on Instagram. I'm sure that, like, some of you might have gone through this, right? You're reaching out to some artists or some bigwigs. Oh, I'd like to learn from you. I'd like an opportunity, and they're just not responding. But like just realizing
There's 100 other people who have
who
asked
reached
them,
out to
hey,
them.
give me a job. Hey, give me this. Give me money. Give me this. Give me that. So I think when it comes from friendship and genuine, hey, I want to actually learn from you. You find that, how can I phrase this in a way that you find that a lot of these people, it's almost like it's a burden of success, right? So it's almost as if, okay, I've come this far in my career. How can I lift other people up without doing it the cheesy, corny way of, hey, I'm a philanthropist, I'm giving away money. The second best way, oops, sorry to all the philanthropists.
It's not conspiracy theories here. We're actually Shekila. If we get on him about conspiracy theories.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Handouts and whatever seem to be the easy way to do it, but a more meaningful approach would be, hey, I've actually
like
raised
something sustainable.
Yeah,
that
like
someone can use it in the future.
this is my mentee, and for example, the mentor that I was talking about, that I had first reached out to when I came here. I mean, he offered me my first internship.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to him. I went all the way to Ghana to work on a project for the summer, and it was one of those things of, I didn't ask him. Like I didn't say, hey, dude,
it's your work that spoke.
It's the follow up. It's the interest. Also, he was in a field and had interests that aligned to mine. So it made sense that, okay, if I'm working on this project and this guy is also very interested, it would help him with his experience. But also, I'm so busy in my day-to-day life. I have a wife, kids, career that's at its peak. This guy can come and do this work for me. I just need to give him small money. He's successful. They have the money, and you do it with
and
a
they're
heart.
willing to meet you at your value. That's important.
Exactly. And so you go there, you work hard, you do the thing, and then you keep them within your network still. So it's not that, hey, he gave me the internship, now we don't talk. Like, we still talk. And so maintaining those relationships is super important, because now they introduce you to other people. For example, and Boni might even expand on this, like with our guests, after we've had like a good interview with them, you see how they sometimes be like, oh, actually, yeah, I could introduce you to so and so. I know so and so.
They put us on for real.
Yeah, and so I think that's the beauty of networking from a point of service and just from a point of interest. Like, be interested.
Networking from a point of service. That's
Shekila, you have to put that.
That one.
You have to edit that one. Networking from a point of service. There we go.
No, because it's the exchange of value that creates Boardroom Banter, right? What's our intro, right? We talk about the fact that we believe, like, the norm is, we go to these people and expecting them to fill us our cups. Oh, give me this internship, give me this opportunity. And we've seen people networking, and the first time you're meeting someone, you're asking them for a job, or they don't even know you, right? And it's always a take, right? With young people, we're ambitious, we're driven, we feel like we deserve opportunities, right? But that's not how the world works, right? And if we as young people, start running with the narrative of we have something valuable to offer these experienced people as well, right? Whether it's our perspective, our opinions, right? We have our skills, right? That's one of the most important things. If we begin running with the narrative that we can fill up each other's cup, we can exchange value, it gives them an incentive, right? To want to open doors, to want to open conversations. Yeah. And I feel like as long as you can begin a conversation with someone, it's unbounded the limits that, what that conversation and relationship will turn into.
Because someone opened a door, and that's something I learned now, like way later on with some of my mentors. It's that they've been so willing to help me in my early career because someone helped them. Back then, maybe their first boss or their first something, someone was there pointing, maybe go in this direction, maybe do this, maybe do that. And they recognize how far that has gotten them.
Yeah.
And they recognize that hunger in you to also be led in the same direction. So that's
so back to
Shekila.
What are your thoughts?
Back to Shekila. What do you think?
What have you learned from Boardroom Banter?
I think one lesson that I think has pushed me through, especially in terms of careers, is the illustration that I'm not sure if it's shown or you shared about having your skills shaped up to suit whatever the industries are looking for. So it's not about the industries shaping you, but it's your skills that talk the most. So the illustration of having a ladder and a wall. So the ladder is your skills and the walls are the job opportunities that you have. So where you put your ladder is where the skills that you have is going to push you to that job. So how will you shape your ladder, or how will you make your ladder longer or shorter to actually suit the job opportunities that are there, which is the wall. So you shouldn't limit yourself with the height of the ladder or I'm not sure how you put it in math, that hypotenuse or something.
This A squared plus C squared equals C squared.
Yeah. So you shouldn't limit yourself.
It's the third time I've used it since high school.
First time.
It's the first time.
But then
my
also,
math teacher, this is Gatama. This is the third time.
Inside this video. But also, if you believe very deeply that your ladder is right, and this is the ladder that you want to change the world with, if it doesn't fit the height of a certain wall, fit in terms of if it's too short, if the ladder is too short, but also if the ladder is too long, right, and your potential is not being fully utilized, change the wall.
Yeah.
There's so many
you
walls.
can pivot. Your ladder is the same. Your skills are the same.
Yeah.
Your attitude is the same.
There are more walls than doors in the world.
No, it's more doors than windows.
No, this is a different one. Think about it. There's more walls than doors.
Doors, yeah, definitely.
We said it first year. Doors, we all put open doors for you.
I'm still trying to.
Yeah, like we want people to open doors for you.
Yeah.
But
I
climb the wall, you know.
So that's been part one of our intense conversation with Madam Shekila. This has been the career dev career conversation.
Then introduce yourself.
My name is Sean Karanja.
I'm Shekila.
I'm a local noisemaker, Boniface Omina. We'll see you after this.